past couple weeks, I found I've been kind of triggered with some stuff, mostly related to family, um, and then men in general, um, but all going back to stuff that I've been connecting together from my past. Um, Last week, there was one night where things there were a couple nights where things seemed especially chaotic. Um, and it was kind of funny because there's, when I went to bed either Thursday or Friday night, there was just this rage that I couldn't shake. And when I went to bed that night, I tried writing to get some of it out of my system, and it just was not going away. So I decided to go to bed. And I turned inward to my little inner sanctuary that I've been finding I have a lot of luck when I go there, and whatever aggravations I've been feeling in the world, it seems like they tend to dissipate there. And when I woke up the next day, I was in a great mood. Just completely unaffected by any of the stuff that I had such a hard time releasing just the day before. But then I decided I was gonna come out here and do one of these videos and kind of speak to that experience. But then I found myself going right back into explanations of what had been going on. It's like, well, that's wasn't the purpose of why I wanted to do the video at all. And yet it took me right back there, and then I found I had more layers of stuff that I had to deal with. It was just kind of aggravating in and of itself. But I have the daily tarot journal that I do almost every day. Not always, but mostly. And for full moons and new moons, there are specific, questions you can go through and ask the cards and put whatever response you get. And I felt led to my Mystical Shaman Oracle deck. And for the question, what have I created since the last new moon? Mind you, that was just a couple weeks ago. I pulled the Sorcerer card, and the Sorcerer speaks to the dark powers and focusing on things that separate and cause division instead of the stuff that brings us together and where we're all united. It's like, ouch. Okay, I get it. It was 100% relevant because that was the stuff that I was focusing on. And I really just needed to get it out of my system, I guess. I was watching a reading by Nordic Light Tarot earlier today, and she was talking about you have to go into the wound and cut away all the bad stuff, get all the pus and all that stuff out of there before you can truly heal the wound. It's like, I think that was kind of what a lot of that was. And it was funny because there's just layers of things that were, I don't know that any of them were necessarily the specific issue so much as a reflection of what I believed was the issue, and just seeing it in smaller perspectives. Like, there's this big issue, but here's this other underlying thing that is a relevant piece of it. But then here's this other thing that didn't seem connected at all until I started looking at all of it together and seeing it for what it was. And it all came right back to that wound that was wanting to focus on the separation rather than the unity. And that wasn't the purpose of why I was even wanting to do a video. My focus I intended to be on the fact that, when I turned inward, all this other stuff just dissipated. But then it was like, nope, there's more that has to be cut away before we can get to the actual root of the cause, or the root of the problem. And so I feel like I've had to do some of that this week. And then I pulled some cards a couple days ago from the Shaman's Dream Oracle. And I have my notes in front of me. The first card was Heart Home, love in its truest form and compassion. When you begin to feel like you do not belong anywhere, it's time to make your way back to your heart home, the place where your soul resides. And I had done that without even directly having something to tell me that's what I was doing, I guess. But yeah, like the card information, it says, there is no need to forgive anyone for anything. In spiritual truth, none of it occurred. It is only your belief in the story that makes it so powerful. When Heart Home shows up, it is imperative you heed its call, lest the universe orchestrate a way to bring you back to yourself that is a harsher nature. So that was one of the cards from that deck. I had kind of, I didn't do any videos or anything. I thought about it earlier in the week. And then I pulled these cards and it's like, yeah, I think I won't. The second card that I got in that pull was the Cosmic Womb. And it says, a reminder that you're undergoing a beautiful process of birthing a new self into being. You don't know who or what it is yet, but you know it is full of life and love and passion and spirit. It's the perfect expression of you, imbued with love incarnate and ignited by the vital spark received from the divine. And then the last one was Deep Quiet. And it talks about meditation, stillness, and clarity. It says, the cosmos is calling you to stillness. Go deep to the place where the noise stops and there is only vast emptiness of inner space. When we don't respond to the invitation of deep quiet, life can stop us with a crisis. Enter the deep quiet before you come to a crashing halt. And there wasn't a whole lot going on that day, so I figured, since two cards acknowledged coming to a halt and going to that place inside before the universe brings you to a crashing halt. It has. Yes. Before the universe brings you to a crashing halt. I went out and decided it was a nice day. I was going to go connect with nature, because I know I don't do that near as much as I need to, even though it feels like I'm outside quite a bit for what I do. And so I kind of hung out for a while on our porch swing and had some shamanic drumming music going on and just went quiet for a while. And then I ended up spending the rest of the evening, well, most of the evening, at least I think solid 3 hours without speaking at all. It's like, wow, this is it's kind of a different experience. And I feel like I have the tendency to feel like I have to talk and ramble my way through things at times. And when I'm looking at it, I think it's just an avoidance of that quiet space. Even though now, whenever I get ready to go to bed and have any struggles with letting go of anything throughout the day, it's like, that's always the place where I can go and everything else just becomes peaceful. So why is it otherwise so difficult to be motivated to go there? And I think that's just one of those things that we do to avoid really getting in touch with who we truly are at our core levels, beneath all the junk. It's like, I know that it's accessible. I've accessed it many times in the past several weeks, and I even kind of just refer to it as my sanctuary now. If I'm writing about it or talking to anybody about anything related to it, so I just call it my sanctuary. And it's kind of interesting because it's like, I feel like it's a real place, and it is, but at the same time, it's not real in this 3D physical standard. And I think that's the one where all the distractions are. I find I've been wanting to do a lot of like writing for like the blog, and struggling to make myself take the time and put forth the effort into doing that. Like, I write every day, but it's in the notebook to my twin. That is basically a sort of journal / rough draft of everything that's been going on in the past 6 months, 7 months. Yeah, 5 to 7 range. Moving in on April now, so but yeah, I've been thinking a lot here lately about, like the Cosmic Womb card mentions birthing a new self into being. It's like, what would I want that to look like? And I feel like I've always had the tendency to not want to decide. And now that the universe is basically saying it's time to decide, it's like, I don't know. And I was thinking about it earlier. I never really knew what I wanted in like a relationship, and I always avoided coming up with anything too specific on what I would or would not want in a relationship. And then I ended up with my ex-husband, who it seemed like the universe was being a little bit of a smartass on that one, because I feel like, was it really necessary for me to say that I would want to be with somebody that if we go on a walk together, they're not walking the dog 20 feet in front of me. That seems a little bit much, I guess. But then, when I think back to like the Abraham Hicks stuff that I've listened to, and they say, when you know what you don't want, then you know what you do want. It's like, okay, well, I knew that I didn't like that setup in a relationship. And going forward, I'm not doing that again. But it still seemed like a little silly to have to put that out there, that no, I am not satisfied with somebody that wants to walk 20 feet ahead of me when we're walking together. So I guess I need to figure out what I do want. And I don't know if it was Nordic Light that was talking about it earlier, or if I remembered it from somewhere else. And now I derailed. I kind of forget where that was going. Just talking about trying on different aspects of who you might want to be. Just experiment and see what speaks to you and what you decide you want to do more of. I think it was, that might actually have been from one of the card pulls I did for myself recently. I don't know, but just while you don't know, just experiment and see where it goes and where the path leads you. What is it they say? If you don't know where you're going, any path will lead you there. I think that's probably where I'm at this point. So it's like I have some ideas of projects that I have been thinking about, and I think it's time to just step into them a little bit more and see where they go, how they go. A while back, I had thought, it's like, I used to be okay at drawing. Like, I've never been, like, really amazing at it. But it's like, I wonder what could that have been if I would have just practiced it a little bit more. And then I went to the park and I had my sketchbook. And I was going to try to experiment with that. It's like, oh yeah, I never did this because it's not something that I actively enjoy. When I get that frustrated at not being able to make it exactly what I wanted it thing. That's always where I have the snags. But even that, there are some things that I know if I put forth the effort, I could figure out how to draw them. And I think it's just a matter of putting forth the effort. And I heard a story where someone was talking about I think their kid not wanting to practice a musical instrument, so they made a deal that all they had to do was 10 minutes a day toward that instrument, and then they could be done. And it actually added up a lot faster than it would have had they just only sat down to do 30 minutes to an hour or whatever. Like, instead of doing that 3 times a week, you can it adds up a lot faster if you're just doing 10 minutes a day. It's like, surely I can put forth 10 minutes a day on some of these little ideas that I have and see where they go. So I think that's my next step. It's just putting forth that effort until I figure out more about what I want in my life and from my life. I don't know what it is yet. But I think approaching it that way make it a lot more interesting to find out as well. Yeah. On that note, I think 20 minutes is good enough for what I'm doing today, and I just wanted to get on here and do a quick video so I didn't get out of the habit and make it all weird, even like I did when I took the 3 months off or whatever. I don't want it to be that difficult getting back into it, because I feel like there is something with using my voice here that at least keeps me moving forward. I think the writing, there's still, I think it's probably intimidating, because writing, it's little things that add up into a big thing, or can, if you put forth that time and effort, and that is kind of terrifying. But that's been life too, so I think it's a matter of just forward momentum. And this is the one thing that I've gotten back into a little bit of a habit of doing, so I don't want to let it go and lose all forward momentum. At least when I'm over here, I can, it's nice out, so bring the dogs with me, and yeah, they might be a little bit of a distraction for a time in the car. Today they're actually unusually peaceful, and I think it's partly because I've been less inclined to go to the heavy paths of conversation, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to keep going back to that stuff. The stuff that I have on here already, I feel like will be relevant to help show my process along the way, for anybody else that might be struggling with something similar. But I don't need to revisit it all the time. And I think putting it out there, out of my system, is helpful. But yeah, so I will leave this here for now, and until the next time, bye guys.